No one wants to hear in this day and age, it could take 5, 6, 7 years for you to finally like flip that switch and start to like get towards your goal. You know, that's a long time and commitment. I don't do certain things for Instagram. That's why a lot of times I don't post for pockets of time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not worried about like making content for sponsors or something. I'm just worried about sticking to my plan. And a lot of times the things I do are very monotonous, but that's just how it is. You know, you got to build yourself up before you get to that point. You know, so a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'm repping 650 on deadlift. You know, what's the point? Like, obviously my PR is over 1,000, so who's going to care if I'm, but now I'm starting to think maybe at least for in the future, I'll just post a lot more vids because who cares, you know? But I just don't want to get to the point where I care enough about social media where it could possibly distract me and like maybe think, oh, I need to like do certain things in order to appease like my audience or something, you know? Like
I think where people screw that up, well, it's funny because I remember John Meadows telling me one time he loved Instagram because it makes him train that last set a little harder. You know, maybe that works for like bodybuilding stuff.
Yeah.
But or the video didn't work, so he had to do another set. You know, so it's stupid shit like that. But where I think if people are trying to build that social media presence, they forget that people want to follow people and they want to follow a story. Like they're not following somebody just because of the PRs. You know, and if that's all they do is put out PRs, then there's nothing to follow.
Yeah.
Because there's no story with that, right? So if, say, I was to advise you on how to build a social media presence from where you are now, there's a story playing out between now and say a year from, well, the pro-am, but not only that, but you're going to retire from the Marines. You're going to have a new career that you're going to work into. You know, it's more than likely it's going to be working with people to help them get stronger. It's going to be in this career field. There's a whole story, right, that can be played out that people will be like, well, fuck, you know, does he have a client? What's he doing? You know, where's his working? Now, there's certain things I do think that, you know, I don't want to post about like wife and kid. There's certain things I'm not going to post about or people shouldn't post about. But if they're trying to build that presence, then tell your story. And the training's just part of your story and the monotony of it. That's part of your story, right? When all it is a max lift, what story is that? It may get somebody popular for a short period of time until they can no longer hit that max lift. And then all of a sudden they want to transfer and be the coach.
Yeah.
They're like, what the fuck, dude? Now, their identity, it's confused to whoever's following them. You know, so there's definitely good and there's bad. Yeah. Where to me, it's always been a weird thing because I come from an earlier generation. Like, why in the fuck would I want to try to beat what somebody did online? That's dumb as fuck to me. Like if the goal is what's going to happen on this date, then why am I going to risk fucking that up? You know, for something that may even have fake plates on it for all we know. Yeah. You know, so it may not even be that number, you know, which is a crazy thing, but it happens. When it's like the kids that were in here last night or when you're traveling, what's the most, I already know what this is. Like, what's the most frequent question that the lifters will ask you?
Usually just about deadlift, you know, obviously like they don't. Yeah. And then,
well, let's stay on that because I don't think they understand, right? Like they want the magic cue.
Yeah. It's just tough because the lifter out, like thinking about what I thought about 8, 9 years ago, that's like a lifetime ago for me. So a lot of times it's like, I try to paraphrase things simply, but like I said, a lot of people I've just told them, like I've told them certain vague, obviously, the importance of your glutes firing during deadlifts and like your ability to create tension and root through the floor. Those things are important, but it's just like, I made enough mistakes till I just figured out full circle what worked for me. That's like the most simplistic way to put it, but no one wants to hear in this day and age, it could take 5, 6, 7 years for you to finally like flip that switch and start to like get towards your goal. Like no one wants to imagine doing something for upwards of a decade, you know, that's a long time and commitment.
Maybe flipping some of the things back, right? So if they ask you and you can ask them, like, do you know how to engage your glutes? I'm going to guarantee 9 out of 10 times they're probably going to say no. Yeah. Right. And then you throw back at them, well, how do you think you could engage your glutes? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's
poison the question to where they have to think about it in a different.
Yeah, because what they're seeing on social media now is different than what you were seeing.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it is out there, but it's also really convoluted. And there's a lot of assumptions that we just assume that they know how to engage their glutes.
Yeah.
But if they don't, you know, then that's that whole process of, you know, you can tell them you need to stack all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't know how to actually flex certain things, how are they going to stack? Right? Like, how are they going to stack their knee over their ankle if they don't know how to fucking turn their knee out? Or you see what I'm saying? Or position
these
the
basic
hips.
Things that you think they already know, but they obviously don't know, because when you ask them, like,
yeah,
it exposes that.
And then when you flip it back on them, maybe they'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'll start doing. Because then that way, like, because I worry about just talking over people's heads. Because I've been doing, like I said, the things I think about now compared to then are totally different. You know, it's not like if I just talk to someone, I just go rambling on, and they're just like, okay, what am I supposed to get from this?
Yeah,
I think that's a better way to.
I don't think you do that though.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard you talking to the kids last night. You're not talking over people's head. I've seen people purposely.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not purposely. I've seen people talk over people's heads in such a way that I don't quite know, like, why the fuck they're doing it. Because they have to know that what they're saying is not being received. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yeah.
You're sitting there like, what the, like, you're trying to put it together in your head, and you kind of know, right? And you're like fucking a paragraph behind where they are, and they're talking to like a newbie, you know, and you're like, what the fuck? You know, we can break it down a little bit more simple. What are with the lifts that you've done